Hello, chrononauts! Today we're travelling back to Shakespeare's England, where English first really became a modern language. So we've looked at, in the past, how English language originated from its oral traditions, and then we moved through and looked at the first examples of written English and medieval poetry. Today we're looking at Shakespearean English and the theatre and plays that were performed, as that what really defines this period is the modernization of the language and the theatre that was produced. This was a very exciting time for the English language. The first printed books were being published, and written English was really becoming available to the masses for the first time. You could now buy books for something closer to what they're worth in modern times, unlike the chained-to-the-wall, ridiculously expensive, carefully hand-illuminated books of the medieval period. English itself was being modernized as well. It went from being the Old English, which we had a look at last time, which was quite hard to understand, to something that's much easier for us to recognize as being English. It is what is considered as modern English, even though there are still some archaic uses. For example, the words thou, thee, thine, which we no longer use, but which were commonly used in Shakespeare's times. And it was the real birth of the popularity of the theatre in England. People were going to see it in hundreds, if not thousands, in the cities all around Europe, but particularly in London, where Shakespeare built his theatre. It was the first time that the same plays, reached the masses over and over again, word for word, unchanged. And that's really exciting because it's the first time also that the government and people behind the plays, behind the English language, were able to start spreading the message through these plays. And during this time of rebirth for the English language, one man came to the front who has become known as the greatest wordsmith in the English language. And that man is William Shakespeare. He is the single most quoted person in history. The only work that has been quoted more than Shakespeare is the Bible. And as we know, that's not written by one person, but many. He invented over 2,000 words that we still use today, over 6,000 words in total, words that are completely normal and you can't imagine not existing, like bubble, didn't exist till Shakespeare wrote them down and they were performed in his plays. His plays are still performed around the globe today. For example, you can see the Pop-Up Globe Theatre in Auckland and have a look at as an example of just how popular Shakespeare's work are. He has had an indelible impact on the English language, and that is why we're going to focus on him today. So, Elizabethan theatre was really the first time that theatre became secular. That means it wasn't religious-based. What attracted people to the theatre was the fact that Shakespeare and his contemporaries portrayed real people. They weren't just stereotypes of characters anymore. They were people with complex emotions, people who could love and hate, people whom you could see walking down the street, people whom you might work for. They were characters that people could relate to. The ideas in Shakespeare's themes appealed to people in general as well. Instead of basing his themes on religious messages or tropes to get across, his ideas were more about emotions, fear, love, greed, jealousy, or despair were just some of the many emotions that Shakespeare brought out in his plays. And all inside all of this, you can see in Shakespeare's plays hidden political messages that support the current government. Shakespeare's plays actively encourage people to believe that monarchy, the system of a king or queen ruling, is right and the only natural way for a country to run, and that without a proper monarch on the throne, countries fall into chaos. And Shakespeare deliberately wrote this, in fact, to support Queen Elizabeth, whose hold on the throne was somewhat tenuous during her reign. So, now that you know a little bit about Shakespeare and his times, you are going to delve further into this wonderfully fascinating period. In front of you, you can see a table or a matrix with 6 different tasks on it. Your job this period is to pick one task from each column, minimum. That means you can do more than one from each column. You could do all 6 if you like, but you might not find you have the time to do so. But please do try and do at least one task from each column. Complete it and put it in your journal that we're creating as we travel through history. Good luck, chrononauts, and have fun exploring the world of Shakespeare's English.